County Fair Swine Show. We have sheets scattered about, so make sure you get one of those to follow along. Our order this morning, we're going to start out with our pins of 3 classes, follow that with performance gilts, then performance barrows, then market gilts, market barrows, and then our breeding division, and then showmanship after that. We'll end with a little kid showmanship class as well today. So that is our order. We're going to go ahead and get started. So if we can get our first pin of 3 class to come down to the show arena, we'll get things going. at this year's Page County Fair. I'd like to introduce our judge today. Our judge is Kyle Beatty. He's a graduate of South Dakota State University. Along with his wife Laura and 3 children, they own and operate Beatty Genetics. Both he and his wife were active 4-H and FFA members as youth, and they now maintain an 80-head sower located in southeast Nebraska. Their operation specializes in raising purebred and crossbred show pigs and breeding stock that are marketed year-round. Additionally, they maintain an on-farm fourth stud utilizing herd sires for on-farm use, as well as semen sales. They conduct an annual live show pig sale in March, multiple online show pig sales throughout the year, as well as an online bred female sale in November. Off the farm, Kyle stays active coaching his kids in sports and serves on the Nebraska 4th Board while previously serving on both the executive and Hampshire Board for the National Swine Registry. Let's welcome our judge, Kyle Beatty, today. In the show right now, we have our Pennant 3 class. And this is our only Pennant 3 class. Showing this class, we have Ian Forsythe, Tanner Forsythe, Parker Lillidahl, and Jim Wall.
I'd like to welcome everyone here this morning. I told the guys when I got here in Ring Health, working in the back, spot on job with the weather today. When I agreed to do this for the end of July, I always kind of assume it's going to be really balmy and hot and sunny. And long story short, looks like it's going to be a pretty pleasant evening, or morning, excuse me. Got 4 here in contention for your Pennant 3. And I guess the way that I kind of evaluate or kind of pick apart for pens, whether it's 2, 3, or 4, it's a combination sort in terms of the quality of the individual in combination with how well they pair and match each other. And I think there's 2 of these groups that kind of service to the top. I'll go ahead and kind of discuss the pair of them. It's actually the young gentleman and 1 and 3. I think from a quality standpoint, these hogs just offer a little bit more thickness in comparison to the other 2 pens, and a shot more uniformity and consistency within the trio. Of that pair of trios, I think the one that hit me the hardest is going to go ahead and be my champion. We go ahead and bring out pen 1. You can go ahead and put your hands together for that young man. And he's going to be your champion pen of 3. Hogs that are certainly big bodied and opened up, and from a structural standpoint, functional and correct in their build. I think from a consistency standpoint, compositionally, they all read true and very, very similar in type and kind. Have some advantages in weight, which I think, maybe this plays a little bit lesser role than it used 2 years ago. But I think from the ground up and the blade back, the 3-dimensional hogs that are productive are going to go ahead and be awarded your champion pen of 3. Welcome the young man out from Pen 3 that's going to be your reserve champion. I thought hogs are probably just a little bit more shapely up high, and I do appreciate that. I think from a skin and hair standpoint, probably best our champion. Weight-wise, I wanted to see these just a nickel bit bigger. And I thought this trio, the one farthest from me was just a shot bigger and kind of the outlier of this trio. But I think from a quality standpoint is what kind of steps them up. I think as individuals, certainly I think have a lot of potential looking forward. Just in comparison to our champion pen, there was one that was a nickel bit kind of out of bounds in comparison to the other 2. Quality-wise, I like this trio quite a bit. You want to put your hands together for that young man for his reserve champion pen. Certainly feel free to do so. I'll have to go ahead and award 2 blue ribbons to the young pair of gentlemen that are going to round out here in 3rd and 4th. First blue end too. I think from a quality standpoint, just a nickel bit, just in terms of advantages and blending up a shot better than the young man that's going to round out this class here in 4, but still receive a blue. I think similarities of this trio, there's a pair of them that are very, very, very close, and just in terms of compositional correctness and build. There's a barrel in there kind of in the middle, that Hampshire traditional belted one that just has some advantages that would be offering a nickel bit more three-dimensional mass and thickness and body. And again, is a nickel bit of an outlier in comparison to the other pair. The young man that comes in here that's going to go ahead and be awarded a blue ribbon as well. I thought from a composition standpoint, lean to hogs in comparison to their weight, I just wanted to see them balance up a shot better with a nickel bit more body and depth, get a little bit plainer about their head, and that kind of goes hand in hand as they reach these heavier weights. But I thought from a consistency standpoint, this was the most variation from the pens that we saw, that I saw. But you got some thicker one, you got a little bit more streamlined one, and you got one that's kind of like a little bit in the middle. I like their weight consistency, just wanted to see type and time match a nickel bit better.
In our 10 and 3 class, the class champion receiving first place, Ian Forsythe. Reserve champion goes to Jim Wallach, also receiving a purple. Third place with the blue, Tanner Forsythe, and fourth place with the blue ribbon, Parker Liljedahl. In the ring now, we have our performance steel class. We just have one entry in this class, and showing in this class is Ian Forsythe.
Easily a purple ribbon pig here. I know it's a single entry. Sometimes I think it's easy to make comparisons, but as you study this individual, the way this one's opened up into her chest and feeds into a big rib cage and a big wide top, and the shape and expression she had when she drives away, kind of makes sense to do the 169 weight per day of age. Really high quality animal, something again, like I mentioned, it'd be nice to maybe make some comparative statements, but the build that one has and the structure and the correctness to her slope to her shoulder, the roundness of body, and just the sheer muscle and volume that she has, easily makes this one a very competitive one. Go ahead and we'll just kind of hold her here so we don't have to do a lot of running back and forth. Really nice purple ribbon yield.
Okay, so Ian receives a purple ribbon in the performance steel class. In the show right now, we have our performance barrel class. Showing in this class, we have Parker Brown. His barrel having an average data gain of 1.84. Tanner Forsythe with an average data gain of 1.52. Parker Lilliedall has 2 entries in this class, 1.90 and 2.07. And James Wallach with an average data gain of 1.69.
A few more numbers of the trio, I think that surface to the top of this trio, that's who kind of shades to my left. I usually gravitate towards and going to be your champion. It'd be the young man, Solid Blackbird. He's going to go ahead and win this particular drive. I think from the ground up and the blade back, that one's very three-dimensional and robust. He's wide, he's square, he's sound. Still gives you a good look, and from a top side shape and compositional correctness standpoint, I think that one's on point. Doesn't disappoint you from the weight per day of age either. It's a really, really good solid black barrel to go ahead and start. I think it gets closer for your reserve in this particular drive, and they're different in their type and their kind. There's one that's probably a nickel bit higher from a credibility standpoint, a little bit more shapely. There's one that's way more impressive in terms of performance, and so it's kind of a give and take pair between this pair. I'm going to go ahead and use the young lady's belted barrel to go ahead and be second. I think from a build standpoint, the carry of advantages in terms of weight and performance, that one doesn't disappoint you. I think from the angle of that one's shoulders, maybe a nickel bit farther forward, but man, is that one busted open and big and round and bold in his body cavity. Doesn't sacrifice his hip and his hind leg to carry those advantages in terms of weight. Really nice reserve to go ahead and be 2. Young man's Duroc barrel is going to go ahead and be 3rd. And an initial impression of this one, I think, is very, very good and unique. He's really attractive and stout. At the same time, when he drives right at you, I love the crispness, the shape that one has, particularly when he drives away from me. And still, it offers a functional hind leg. He's a little bit more modern. I think that whole kind of works hand in hand with being just a little bit slower from his growth and performance standpoint. We can just extend that one and make him bigger in type and kind. I think you can make a case to go ahead and use that one to win. Really, really solid trio hogs to go ahead and start. Here are hogs here. To my right, kind of by the exit there, we're going to go ahead and be blues as well. I like the young lady in her white to go ahead and be 4th. The young man's going to go ahead and be 5th. They appreciate the extension and the length and the levelness on the profile, but it's not quite as three-dimensional. They get a bit flatter and they're afraid a little bit narrower underneath. I think as you kind of read what they do weight per day of age, the young man that rounds out this class kind of gives up the most in terms of performance. And that makes sense because that barrel just gets a little bit flatter, a little bit more two-dimensional in his makeup. I think the young lady hog that ended up being 4th is similar in type and kind, just bigger. In every facet of the game, that's what was my logical decision to go ahead and sort that pair. Really nice class of performance barrels.
Okay, in our performance barrel class, first place went to Corbin Brown, receiving a purple. Second place went to Parker Lilliedall, also receiving a purple. Receiving blue ribbons, James Wallach, Tanner Forsythe, and Parker Lilliedall. we get into our next class, we're going to have our royalty introduce themselves. We have some help here handing out ribbons, so we'll let them introduce themselves. Maybe tell what your future plans are and who your parents are and all that.
Good morning. My name is Callie King, and I was selected as this year's second runner-up. My parents are John and Joe King, and I just finished my senior year at Miranda High School. This fall, I'll be moving on to Clarkson College to study nursing.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Julian Donovan. I'm going into my senior year at Clarkson High School. My parents are Jennifer and Justin Donovan, and I was selected as your first runner-up. My name is Maggie Carlson. I was selected at Miss Congeniality, and my parents are Todd and Nikki Carlson, and I just finished my junior year at Clarkson High School.
Let's give them a hand for helping us out today. Entering now is our first class of market guilds. Showing this class are Chase and Strong, Natalie Johnson, Graham Pace, and Emma Hansen.
Strong way to start off the market guild drive. There's a pair of them farther from me that I think it boils down to, and similar yet different in what they have to offer. I think from a three-dimensional mass and thickness standpoint, both of these guilds pair up mighty readily. I think from an extension standpoint, there's maybe a difference in being a little bit trimmer through her head and her neck and one or the other. In terms of length of hip and functionality, I think there's a subtle difference in this pair as well. I think both of these are very, very good in the fundamentals of what they have to offer from the ground up and the blade back, just being naturally thick and bolder bodied and bigger cage, which facilitates more topside mass and thickness in comparison to their counterparts. But within that pair, there's one that's just, get up and more go. She just seems a little bit more secure in how she wants to function and handle off of her rear too. I think that stems from being hinged just a nickel bit looser out of her hip. That's the young lady who only block one. She's going to go ahead and win this particular drive. Congratulations to her. The young gentleman kind of crumbed up one here and probably pushes that one mightily harder. And I think from an angle to that one, scalping all read true. I love that one. Basic hit and power off the ground. But man, just find another gear in that guilt and get her to go. And she gets a little bit hesitant and reserved. And I think that stems from being a nickel bit shorter out of her hip, and she just can't take that stride and get out and go and cross the shadings and give you that look and that picturesque image that the young lady predominantly black one can. Really solid pair to go ahead and be 1 and 2. Second place would be, I'm going to go ahead and award this one a purple. The young ladies guild farthest from me, as well as young gentleman's guild's going to go ahead and be first. Blue and be fourth in this particular drive. I see a lot of the same similarities in this guild that winds up in third in 1 and 2. From a design standpoint, that one is radical and is wild looking and gives you just an incredible presentation. I love her shape. I love the credibility that that one has to offer. I love how strong and true tracking that one is. Man, that one needs more groceries. If we can give that one a bigger heart and a rounded rib cage, I think she can make a case to slide her up a spot or two. Young man, Gil, is going to go around that big top with a blue. Another high cut ability, one that gives you the big butterfly top, the bull blade, the big chest. it's going away where I kind of halted this one. She looks like maybe a little bit of an injury and kind of some swollen hocks and gets a little bit rounder out of her hip and just doesn't want to get out and go like that top trio, but really good cutability gilt to go ahead and round out this drive.
Okay, for our first class of market gilts, first place with the purple ribbon goes to Emma Hansen. Second place with the purple, Jason Strong. Third place also receiving a purple, Natalie Johnson. And fourth place with the blue ribbon, Grant Case. In the show ring now is our second class of market gilts. Showing in this class are Ian Forsythe, Courtney Brown, and Audrey Case.
Elector wore two purples and a blue. Undoubtedly, the young man's traditional Hampshire belted gilt and in front of me to go ahead and win this drive. From a style, design standpoint of things, this one sets the standard in this particular trio. She's the taller shouldered one, the most extended. She's the cleanest about her throat and her jaw. She's still got a big forearm, and I think from a muscularity standpoint, doesn't disappoint you when you read her down her top. Is she the roundest bodied one? Absolutely not, but she still offers a functional and correct hip and hind leg, and offers more than enough power at the ground. I think you got to go ahead and kick this class off with that one. Really good one to go ahead and choose. The young lady closest to me, the other traditional Hampshire colored one. This is a more productive bodied one that is more three-dimensional. She's softer and gives you an easier feeding look about her throat and her body cavity. She offers more width as you analyze it from blade back into her hip. She gets a little bit shorter, a little bit rounder out of her hip, and probably just doesn't strike you with that look and aura that our class winner does, but really a solid place to go ahead and be second purple. The young man's going to go ahead and be third and get a blue ribbon. A leaner version of the gilt that lines up right ahead of her. She's very, very shapely out of her hip and her hind leg. She's a long patterned one. I do appreciate the length because it doesn't show off throw off her mouth. She gives up a little bit just in terms of bone work. Wants to kind of narrow up the ground when she drives away. She too could use a shot of look up through her front end in order to move any higher in this particular class.
Results of our second market gilt class. First place with the purple ribbon goes to Corbin Brown. Second place with the purple, Audrey Case. Receiving third place with the blue ribbon, Ian Forsythe.
Very comfortable landing spot for your champion market gilt that I'm going to go ahead and use one that I think just combines both worlds in terms of being a three-dimensional hog that packs a tremendous amount of product and doesn't sacrifice look to do so. I'm going to go ahead and use the young lady that won that lightweight class to be your champion market gilt. Congratulations. Now I think it gets very close for your reserve champion because both of these hogs offer a very good look and it looks like kind of that show pig attractive front end that you're kind of looking for. I think from the rear leg angles read very, very similar in these two. Out of this pair, there's one that's just more my speed. Do I wish this one was maybe a shot bigger or type of kind? Absolutely. But fundamentally at the ground, this one is distinctive advantages in terms of power and it just overcomes you in terms of mass and thickness. I'm going to go ahead and roll up the young man's reserve lightweight to be really good.
Okay, our champion market hog gilt is shown by Emma Hansen. The reserve champion market gilt shown by Jason Strong. Congratulations.
feels humbler. Okay, your first question. What is the average dressing percent on market swine? Sixty is close, but let's go higher. Higher. Lower. Higher. 75. All right, next question. For a bucket hat and a pot holder. In commercial hog farms, tails are docked to prevent what? You're right. Injury from tail biting. Okay, and then for a $10 Fast Top gift card and a digital cookie thermometer. True or false? Hampshire coloring can be described as black with 6 white points, the nose, tail, and feet. True or false? False. That is Berkshire coloring. Who said false? Okay, I have a question for kids only, so I only want to hear kids. True or false? In showing swine, kneel or crouch while you describe the... Wait, what? Okay, different question. Okay, kids, true or false? A show cane or show stick should be used in directing the pig around the holding pen or in the show ring. You're right!
Really good way to kick off the barrel portion of the show, these lighter weight hogs. Absolute gangster, I think, to go ahead and win first class quite handily. Young lady is kind of calico barrel right in front of you, going to go ahead and be your first purple. And in particular, guys, just sometimes there's so many good things that I prioritize in terms of being extended and having a really good look, not sacrificing structure, and bring some muscle to the table. Very, very good. To go ahead and start that. The decision to be had, I think, is 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to go ahead and award all of these purple. To me, there's probably one that kind of separates himself just from following what I like from a pattern standpoint. That's the young man's kind of chromed up one here in front of me. This is the barrel that on the profile gives you the tallest shoulder, the most extended look. He's very comfortable in his shoulder blade, doesn't disappoint you in terms of topside shape. He's got a little bit of a grandpa butt and doesn't hit you with as much power maybe as a couple of the other ones, but I think he still sets down in a square rear leg. Fundamentally, I think this one, if you prioritize and maybe if you do a little bit of a projection standpoint, this is the ample muscled one that can feed and get bigger and continue to grow and do the right thing. So that's why I logically kind of sorted him into second purple. I think third and fourth for your get very, very close. And I go back and forth. There's one that's a little bit better built and there's one that just comes with more power. I like the more powerfully constructed blueberry to go ahead and be third. This one's very opened up in his blade. He's huge about his forearm. He's round about his body and a big centered hog that hits you with a tremendous amount of width when he drives away. He's a little bit wishy-washy on his hock, doesn't maybe know where he kind of wants to set those. He's a little bit more jammed up. up than what I think first and second was, but you got to go ahead and gravitate towards the power of the three-dimensional mass that the young man Blue Barrel has. Go ahead and be 3. The young lady's barrel is going to go ahead and be 4. I love this one's build. This one is so comfortable and correct and easy when he gets out and goes and tracks. He doesn't bring any extras to the table, however, in terms of look, in terms of power, in terms of muscle, and I think that's kind of why he is so sound and correct, is he just doesn't have anything to kind of push the envelope and make him just be a little bit more. That's kind of what gravitated him on down the line. Very functional one that goes ahead and rounds out this class with the blue. That one's three-dimensional out of his hip, very, very wide, I think, about his blade. Just gives up a little too much down the road in terms of bone and foot and width. Doesn't hit you with as neat and as attractive a look is what I thought those guys did above him. Very, very nice class.
Okay, in our first market barrel class, first place with the blue ribbon goes to Jaden Meyer. With the purple ribbon. Second place with the purple ribbon also goes to James Waller. Third place with the blue, James Waller. Fourth place with the blue, James Waller. And fifth place with the blue ribbon, Tanner Forsythe. Just a reminder that pictures for all of our winners today will be right after the show, so make sure you stick around for the pictures. And also, just announcement, showmanship classes will be our final classes. The seniors will go first when we do showmanship at the end. In the ring now we have our second market barrel class. Showing in this class are Corbin Brown, Brooklyn 4, Kylie Meyer, and Jaden Meyer.
Okay, so your next trivia question, winning a hat. What is the normal growth rate of swine? It's a range, like one number to one number. Just go a little higher than 54 and you're close. Good job.
Second class of barrel, I'd like to award 3 purples and 1 blue. Just a complete balanced one. Going to go ahead and start the young lady in white closest to me driving that one. That thing's got as broad and as big of a back that still offers some shape. I think his elevation in relationship to his length of body is more ideally suited to me than the one that winds up in second. A big chest hole. Is he the heaviest boned one? No, that's the one that lands in second that the young man is driving. The young gentleman's barrel has a gigantic rear leg that still functions and pushes and plants like it needs to. Giant forearm in that one. I love that one's skull and how wide he is about his jaw. Man, I wish I could make this one longer cannon bone just from a balance standpoint. His height to length ratio is just a nickel bit off for me. I love some pieces about that one, but just thinking big picture, wanted to change the elevation and the length and the cannon bone of that one. But the young lady that's going to go ahead and be third purple is driving the blue barrel that has those advantages. He's a longer cannon one, bigger statured one. Again, from a balance standpoint, just doesn't hit me with quite as stout of a jog. It's a little bit more penciled out his head, a little bit pinched in his ham loin. He's probably the frailest and most refined at the ground in terms of his features. I think that one's certainly more than adequate in the amount of muscle and shape that he's got. Just wanted to smooth him out in an area or two. The young lady is going to go ahead and be fourth and round out this class with the blue ribbon. Very functional, practical hog that's very comfortable when he gets out and goes. Tall shouldered, level made, more than an adequate amount of muscle. Again, just wanted to power that one up with a little bit more bells and whistles from a look standpoint.
Okay, results from our second market barrel class. First place with the purple ribbon goes to Jaden Meyer. Second place with the purple, Corbin Brown. Third place also receiving a purple ribbon, Kylie Meyer. And fourth place with the blue ribbon, Brooklyn 4.
True or false? The term buck means a neutered male pig. You're right. It's Pharaoh. Okay, who said it first? Everyone screams false. She said she's first. Sorry, you already got one. Who else said false? That kid did. Okay, next question. How long is the gestation period in swine? That is perfect. That was great. You get a tumbler.
We do want to thank our sponsors of all the gifts. Pork producers gave a lot of gifts to hand out. Agarland sponsored the Fast Stop gift cards, so I want to thank them for helping us out today with the prizes. Okay, in the ring we have our third market barrel class. Showing in this class are Jaden Meyer, Hallie Meyer, Kylie Meyer, and Jason Strong.
Very fun class for purple ribbon hogs that I think all bring some advantages to the table and all do collectively a thing or two. I'm just, man, if we could just tweak this, that would really make this decision a lot easier and probably not so argumentative. I think that's probably the blessing and the curse of evaluating livestock, both hogs and sheep and beef and other species is there's no definitive right or wrong answer. I think you're a product of your environment and where you start and how you prioritize. There's a lot of different things that can come into the mix and differentiate placing. All four of these I think are good. There's one that's just a nickel bit different than the rest. And if you analyze this one at the ground is where his definitive advantages lie. He's the widest in the square, and he drives right at you, has insurmountably the biggest chest floor. He's the biggest top, the widest back, the biggest hip hog that still stays square when he gets out and goes. Does he have a lot of range of motion? I wouldn't say that he does. Is he the most extended or the longest, skinniest neck? No. There's a couple other ones out here that do it, but for me, to analyze them at the ground and working your way up, the young gentleman's barrel is going to go ahead and have to win this particular drive. The one that I think does the next best job is probably more my speed in terms of being more extended, and that's the young lady here in front of me. The presentation that this barrel comes into the ring with, I think, is incredibly good. That one is longer neck, but he's a little bit fleshier about his throat, which kind of makes it a little bit more deceiving from a look standpoint. If you prioritize the build and the slope and the angle to his shoulder, you probably fancy this one a little bit better. And from a skin and hair standpoint, I think it is second to none. He's extremely comfortable and fluid when he gets out and goes out of his front end. But man, he's got a little bit of a hiccup in his giddy up as the drive wears on. I think that a little bit of give and take because he's got so much out of his hip and his hind leg. He just gets a nickel bit shorter striding and just doesn't go with as much comfort and ease. So you got two of them that I both alter as they drive away from you. One I thought was just probably made up for it a little bit better in terms of width and mass and substance. Pair that goes ahead and rounds out in third and fourth. Again, another, I think, pair that's give and take. The young lady's belted one here, black and white, was going to go ahead and be next. He does, of the initial trio, probably have more range of motion. I don't, out of his hip and his hind leg, I don't see it near as much flexibility as what I'd like to see. When he drives right at you, he's a little bit more wedge built. He wants to take it to the ground. That's what those first two I thought read a nickel bit more true when they drove right at me. And with that, he's got more of an hourglass shape to his body cavity, where he's big about his shoulder and kind of gets a little bit less descriptive, a little bit skinnier about his rib cage, and then balloons back up into a big hip. Very good front end assembly and attractiveness. This one is cleaner about his throat than what that duo is that starts this class. I just didn't think he hit me with as much true power as he analyzed him at the ground and went through his center rib and body cavity. A little bit more uniformity and thickness in terms of body style as he analyzed the young lady's blue hog from his blade back into his hip. He stays more uniform in the width that he analyzed him in through his forehead and up through his top in terms of thickness. He is the most nondescript of these four as you analyze him as meat animal indicators on the top side of his skeleton and the dimple over his tail head. He too wants to wedge when he drives right at me. He's a nickel bit more extended than a couple of those that place right above him, but he's a little bit more refined about his jaw and his feet and his legs further interpret that as they give up the most just in terms of natural thickness and both. Really nice barrel to go ahead and round out this class. Very, very tough class.
Results from our third market barrel class. First place with the purple ribbon goes to Chasen Strong. Second place with the purple goes to Kylie Meyer. Receiving a purple ribbon in third place was Allie Meyer, and fourth place with the purple ribbon, Jaden Meyer. We want to remind everyone, we are doing a Pee-wee class. We're going to do that at the end of the show. This is for any kindergarten through third grade kid that wants to try it out. The pig and the whip will be provided, obviously, but if any K through third grade kids want to try this out, they need to come to the desk up here and let us know before we get to our showmanship classes at the end. So please let us know if you're interested, and we'll get you signed up to go.
Okay, guys, another trivia question. For pot holder and a thermometer, what is the purpose of ear notching? You're right. Okay, next question for the same prize. Which one of these breeds has erect ears? Yorkshire, Landrace, or Chester White? Yorkshire. versus a $10 Fast Stop gift card? When does the first heat occur after a sow has farrow? Okay, it's days. Lot lower than 30 days. Close, just a little lower. 35. Next question. What does AI stand for? I give it to you, but you already got it. Okay, kids, I have a question I think you can get. How often should fresh water be given to a pig? Every day, you're right.
Inclined to give 3 purples and 2 blues in this particular drive of barrels, and there's a pair of belted ones that I think suit me quite handedly. A lot of the same similarities that we've come to discuss can be used to analyze this pair. I go back and forth, and I think it's very, very close in my particular mind, but the one that I keep coming back to, and I guess it gives me just a nickel bit more memorable look, the young lady to my left is going to go ahead and win this drive. Congratulations to her. This barrow is bigger in the overall type and kind and build. With that, he's taller shouldered, he's more extended up front. He still offers a stout and attractive head. And if you analyze him on the top side of his blade, I think he's a nickel bit more shapely with that bold blade. When they drive away, I think is where he starts to maybe distance himself. He's wider and squarer out of his upper hip and carries that advantage into the base of his skeleton. He's, I think, a squarer, a truer, and more unique one to compare that kind of look with that kind of muscle and that kind of shape. That's why he needs to go ahead and win. The young lady in the center driving the other belted barrel here directly in front of me is going to go ahead and be second purple. And man, she pushes this class winner very, very hard. This one is deeper in through his forearm. It is still uniform and balanced on the profile. He's a nickel bit chunkier about his head and shorter about his throat. And he's probably built a nickel bit more moderate and conservative in his frame in comparison to our class winner. Where I thought this one probably didn't quite have as much punch was down low. He kind of tapers out through that lower stifle and just gets plainer about his hip. He's so swelled and swollen and full. It probably takes away from the real muscle shape and volume that he's got. I love that one's build on the profile. Just want to open him up with more true width at the ground. I think if you square that one up, we'd probably still be out here kind of cussing and discussing this pair. Young lady's belted ball is going to go ahead and be third purple for me. Simply put, just a really stout forearmed one that from a cutability standpoint has some advantages over the rest of his peers. Uniform from floor to flank, still gives you a good look, not as much squareness from that one from a hip and hind leg standpoint or a width standpoint and comfortability standpoint in comparison to first and second. Two blue is going to go ahead and round out here in fourth and fifth. I like to use the young lady's Berkshire and round out the class with the Durat. Hogs that are certainly ample and from a performance standpoint, they're very three-dimensional. They're bulky. I like how round body and big top these hogs are. Need to correct them from a hip and hind leg standpoint. Just get a little bit off whoopsie-daisy in the way that they want to track off those rear two. Like to give them a nickel bit more flex and a nickel bit more squareness.
Results of our fourth market barrel class. First place with the purple goes to Sydney Hansen. Second place with the purple ribbon, Macy Hansen. Third place, also receiving a purple, Ella Johnson. Fourth place with the blue, Aubrey Erickson. And fifth place with the blue ribbon, Ella Johnson.
think pretty simple, cut and dry class, probably in my mind the way to sort these. The young man, black-headed, white body, was going to go ahead and be first purple in this particular drive. That's a functionally correct one. That's good built and very three-dimensional and massive and thick from the front to rear, a lot of volume. And doesn't falter from a feet and leg standpoint. Got to go ahead and use him to win. The young man's belted nut right beside him is going to go ahead and be second purple in this particular drive. That one probably overwhelms you just in terms of power, mass, and thickness and width. It's a little bit shorter and more compact in his build. Maybe wants to be a little bit softer up front, and I think that kind of makes it or takes away a little bit in terms of how comfortable he is. I think that as you get kind of these bigger weights, I'm probably a little bit more inclined to compensate for that because he offers so much thickness and three-dimensional mass and power. Third and first blue is going to be the young lady's Berkshire hog. Very functionally correct one. I like that one's added elevation. He's a bigger stature hog, and I do appreciate that and like that better than the one that winds up in second. Just wanted to see that one more opened up with more hard muscle in order to flip-flop that there. Young man that rounds out this class with a blue ribbon, another long pattern, one fourth place hog that you got to appreciate the added extension and length of spine. And he doesn't get soft and I think throw off his balance. He's a little bit chunkier about his head. A big picture item for me is he just ultimately too narrow at the ground and doesn't offer enough body and mass to compensate how big and extended he is.
Okay, results of our fifth and final market barrel class. First place with the purple went to Ian Forsythe. Second place with the purple, Tanner Forsythe. Third place with the blue ribbon, Aubrey Erickson. And fourth place with the blue, Parker Liliadol.
This goes for pigs and humans.
reserve class winners in our Market Barrel division. So to recap, our first Market Barrel class, the class winner was Jaden Meyer, and the reserve was James Waller. Second class, Jaden Meyer showed the class winner. Corbin Brown had the reserve. In our third class, Jason Strong showed the class winner, and Kylie Meyer showed the reserve. In our fourth class, Sydney Hansen showed the class winner. Macy Hansen was the reserve. And the fifth and final class, Ian Forsythe was the class winner, with Tanner Forsythe the reserve.
Drive from the first class on to obviously a few more numbers in comparison to the gilt drive that preceded it. As we watch these 5 class winners out here kind of canvas and parade across the chips, I think it boils down to a triple of them are in contention in my mind to be your champion. And there's again, like I've commented before, how you prioritize. I think that you can't make a clear-cut choice within this trio. I think there is some room for some discussion. And I think back and look through my mind from a champion standpoint, I think you need a little bit in terms of elegant and memorable characteristics. And when I kind of alleviate it down to that mindset, it probably boils down to a pair of them, because where I think each of these is good, they're incredibly good. And it comes in different characteristics and different traits. So you kind of have the pieces together and you kind of say, okay, so for large falters or hindrances, how do they make up for it and how far out of bounds is each to the other? And with that being said, I think it makes the decision just a little bit easier, because this one's presence, I think, is so elegant and it stems from being so comfortable and collective basis, but it doesn't disappoint you from a mental standpoint. I think this one checks a lot of boxes that every time you've got your thing together. Short and sweet, if we're starting to talk a little fits in the whole in terms of what that second place barrel out here for reserve champion honors, and I think it comes down to a 3-horse race, and that is one of the two that's in contention. With that being said, I still feel very confident and comfortable with a 2-man heat. This one, I just absolutely love how this one hits you with the max truck in terms of short shots and width and so much power, and has a big top. Not quite as elegant on the profile, but it's a 3-dimensional hog that's built from the ground up. Young man probably comes exactly right.
Sydney Hansen, the reserve champion market belt, shown by Chase and Strong. Let's give them a hand one more time. And Hanson Seed and Services. We appreciate their support of the county fair as sponsors today. Champion, overall reserve champion. We will be announcing the rated game winners. And we'll also announce our 3 seniors to the group as well. So after we choose our overall grand champion, reserve champion, we'll have our rated game winners come down. We'll recognize them, and we'll also recognize our 3 seniors as well. chosen. In the ring, we have our Champion Performance Guild being shown by Ian Forsyth. The Champion Performance Barrel being shown by Corbin Brown. The Champion Market Guild being shown by Emma Hansen. And the Champion Market Barrel being shown by Sydney Hansen.
If I could get you ringside to put your hands together for not only the kids exhibiting their division champions, but also the staff, the extension, the people working the ring. It's kind of an unforgiving job that without volunteers, those of you sitting would be doing. And so a little bit of a thank you goes a long, long way. Appreciation is probably something that's easily overlooked and makes the most movement and drive for someone to keep doing what they're doing. So don't forget that. And that goes for all ages, young and old alike. We taught our 2 or 3 year old to say thank you. It's very simple. It means a lot. Very humbled and appreciate the opportunity to come out and judge the livestock and work with the kids. I know we're not all the way through, but I guess the meat and potatoes, I think a lot of times is the grand market, the grand poobah, I guess, as you call it. And very, very happy with the quality from start to finish, and those that have kind of elevated themselves and are out here now, I think, are high quality livestock being presented by a very fine example of what our industry has to offer moving forward, and that's the kids working their tails off here. With that being said, I'll keep it short and sweet. I don't have probably as big of a performance as some do, but there's one out here I think just does so many things uniquely well, and being a combination hog to be extended and so good built and offers more than an ample amount of muscle. Well, this one square built young lady's pelvic barrel is going to be extremely well. Keep it short and sweet for your reserve champ. I kind of went through and made my speech already, and we welcome that reserve back in here. Again, I think it boils down to a pair of them from a quality standpoint for me are just so impressive. Of the deal, there's one that probably just a little bit easier when she gets out and goes. But man, I'm a big stickler on memorable and which one's on the drive home that you not forget. And this truck of a barrel that's so wide and doesn't deviate from a feet and leg standpoint hits me like a ton of bricks. I'm keeping that pair together, young man.
Champion Market Hog is shown by Cindy Hansen. The overall reserve champion Market Hog shown by Jason Strong. Let's give them one more round of applause. Good job. Erickson, Parker Lilliadall, Emma Hanson and Ella Johnson. Please come to the show ring at this time so we can recognize you. Okay, so we'll go through our grade game winners. And this will be top 10. We have some ties in here. So, 10th place, Tanner Forsythe. Average daily gain 1.46. 9th place, Tanner Forsythe, graded gain of 1.52. We have a three-way tie here in 8th place. Corbin Brown, James Wallach, and Ian Forsythe. They all had rated gains of 1.69. Next up, Ian Forsythe, rated gain of 1.72. Ian Forsythe with the next one at 1.76. Corbin Brown next with 1.77. 5th place, Aubrey Erickson with a rated gain of 1.82. 4th place, Corbin Brown with a rated gain of 1.84. 3rd place, Parker Liliendahl, 1.85. 2nd place, Parker Liliendahl with a 1.9. And also the rated gain champion, Parker Liliendahl, with a 2.07 rated gain. Let's congratulate our rated gain winners. Okay, and we also have our 3 seniors in the show ring now. We want to recognize them. We have Emma Hanson, Ian Forsythe, and Ella Johnson. So let's give those 3 a round of applause for sticking with the Swine projects over the years. Those are our 3 seniors. Next up, we'll do our grading guild classes, followed by our showmanship and our Pee Wee class. So sit tight so we can get through those. We have about 3 more opportunities for some prizes here. So we'll get Jillian back up here.
Okay, next question for a pot holder and some bracelets. What is the respiration rate in Swine? This one's not true or false, but it's in breaths per minute. That's respiration rate. If both of the numbers are under 15, what did you say? 8 is one of them. Okay, next question. Is it true or false? To read for a pot holder. To read the pulse rate in Swine, the heartbeat must be felt directly because an arterial pulse cannot be felt. True or false? Whoever said true. You're right.
two purples and three blues. Really good way to kick off the breeding guild portion of the show. Young lady in the center of the ring with the black and white chromed up one, kind of cascading to my left, is going to go ahead and be first in this particular drive. And does so quite handily. It just encompasses so many positive characteristics that we want to emulate and reproduce. I think from the show pig sound side of things, she's good built, she's attractive, she's three-dimensional. Underlying, maybe not as many as some guys want counting. I prefer quality over quantity, and she's plenty good in that aspect of things. Young lady in white's going to go ahead and be second, pushes our class winner very hard from a sheer quality or caliber standpoint, a very high end whatnot. I think from a look standpoint, she's probably a little bit more lift up in terms of muscle. If you could just soften that one up a scotch, I think you can make a play to go ahead and flip flop that pair. Again, a lot of the same characteristics to be found in that one. And in terms of correctness from the ground up with look, very high quality gilt. Gilts out here that are going to be awarded blues, I think certainly have some positive things that these young people can work with moving forward from a show pig side of things. I like the young man's kind of belted one here by the exit gate to go ahead and be next. Stout generating skull on that one, huge forearm, fuzzy leg. Not quite as blended and balanced as well as what I thought first and second were in this particular drive. With very high quality female to go ahead and be third. Young lady with the Berkshire Gilt's going to go ahead and be fourth for me. I love that one's maternal rib cage and body and the curvature to her shoulder or forerib and uniformity back in through her flank. Very high counting underline. Needs to be stoutened up just as a scotch. I understand they are being presented as crossbreds. Man, if you can call it, if I'm lying, I'm dying. That one's got to be a Berkshire, so very nice. Berkshire female just kind of gets a little bit of a disadvantage in comparison to the crosses. Young lady in solid black one is going to go ahead and round out this class. Another blue ribbon hog, huge monster stout skull, big forearm, very correct rear leg. Man, if I could just soften that one up and open it up with more maternal rib cage and body capacity, I think you could make a case to flip-flop that one. Just gets a little bit harsher and drier in her cage in order to flip-flop that part.
Okay, in our first breeding guild class, first place with the purple goes to Sydney Hansen. Second place with the purple, Allie Meyer. Third place with the blue ribbon, James Wallach. Fourth place with the blue, Natalie Johnson. And fifth place with the blue ribbon, James Wallach. Next up in the show ring is our second breeding guild class. Showing in this class are Kylie Meyer, Jaden Meyer, Natalie Johnson, Allie Meyer, and Sydney Hansen.
award four purples and one blue in this particular drive. Going to get started with the young lady's black belted gilt here directly in front of me. Go ahead and win. Just so functionally correct, offers a dynamic, soft hind leg that's very, very flexible and a gigantic back. There's so much maternal through her head and neck, and I think that stems from being more correct in the angle to her shoulder and the set back into her knee. Not as big form as the young lady's belt that goes to my right. That's going to go ahead and be second. I love how deep-sided this one is and ties very, very low into her heart and uses uniform back into her flank. A little bit kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Concerning to me the way that she wants to close up when she drives right at me. No, it doesn't function as securely off her hind leg as what our class winner does. It gets a little bit kind of pinched into her hand loin, almost kind of wants to swim and swivel out of her hip and her hind leg, being probably ultra critical on a gilt that offers way more positive than she does negative. Very close decision, I think, for first and fourth. I like these young ladies blue gilt to go ahead and be purple. I think this one's more naturally elevated and taller at the point of her shoulder, doesn't sacrifice the angle to her shoulder to do so. She's a little bit kind of more refined about her jaw. I think there's naturally more volume and thickness in this one, particularly in her hind quarter when she drives away. Doesn't disappoint you the way she wants to utilize and function out of her hop. Just wanted to stouten her up a skosh in order to move her up any higher. Young lady is predominantly white gilt, exhibitor 156. Looks like the Yorkshire to me, and she's stout about her jaw than what third is. She's a little bit kind of up in her chine and gets a little bit lower about her front. She just can be squared up when she drives right at me, particularly at the base of her skeleton. Driving away doesn't quite hit me with much power the way that she wants to function out of her hind leg. I don't think compensates for that. Young lady making her way out with the Chester or Landry Superior Gilt. That's going to go ahead and be fifth and it'd still be awarded a blue. I love that one. The angulations to her skeleton. I think her shoulder, her knee, her passes, her length to her hip, the set to her hock. The way she can drive and push and plant off of that rear too is exceptionally good, particularly for the breed that she represents. Ultimately gets a little bit more two-dimensional in comparison to the rest of that class. I'd like to open that one up and give her more body in order to shoot her up into that purple ribbon group.
Okay, results of our second breeding gilt class. First place with the purple ribbon goes to Sydney Hansen. Second place with the purple went to Kylie Meyer. Third place with the purple ribbon, Jaden Meyer. Fourth place with the purple, Allie Meyer. Fifth place with the blue ribbon, Natalie Johnson. In the showing now is our third and final breeding gilt class. Showing in this class are Emma Hansen, Aubrey Erickson, and Macy Hansen.
Going to go ahead and use the young lady's gilt in front of me to win this particular class. I mean, that one is picture perfect on the profile. But if you compare these two, I think you can get, she's a bigger stash than the one that's extended. I love the swoop and slope that one's got to her forearm and her knee. Kind of pushing the envelope in terms of passer strength. I don't think it hinders her functionality whatsoever. Bigger compliment is the way that one can get out of her hind leg and in terms of the angle she's got to her hock. I really absolutely love that one profile. Now, she's not as three-dimensional and robust as the young lady's belted gilt that winds up in second. This purple ribbon gilt is more expansive and wider gauge into the center part of her body cavity than what our class winner is. Ultimately, though, she's not as extended. She's not pulled as tall at the point of her shoulder. She's not as long about her neck. She's a little bit shorter about her hip. I love the power that one's got. Could maybe stouten that one up in terms of bone and maybe a nickel bit. I think they could further complement how much mass and power and thickness she's
breeding gill class, first place with the purple goes to Macy Hansen. Second place with the purple, Emma Hansen. And third place with the blue ribbon, Aubrey Erickson. In the show ring now, we'll be choosing our overall breeding gill. So we have our 3 class winners out there now. Our first class, Sydney Hansen, showed the class champion with Allie Meyer as a reserve. Second class, Sydney Hansen, also had the class winner with Kylie Meyer having the reserve. And then our third class that we just had in the ring, Macy Hansen showing the class champion with Emma Hansen showing the reserve.
Three excellent breeding gilts that are certainly going to make, I think, the industry better pigs moving forward. This trio of black and white gilt, it offers the look and the stature and the substance that you kind of need to be competitive in the ring, and I think offers so much good without throwing anything to the wayside, and so from a balance stance, we still read very, very complete. Again, I kind of made the comment when I discuss or go through my head what needs to be a champion is if you close your eyes or you're driving down the road, which one do you think or about, or which was the first one hit you the hardest, which one do you want to emulate or try and make more of it. And I think ultimately it boils down to a pair of them, and within that pair there's one that, man, the first impression that this one has to offer from a big chest floor and a round body cavity, and it's so attractive on the profile and it's so comfortable from a feet and leg standpoint. I like this one a great deal. The young lady's lightweight is going to be your champion breeding gill. That second place in that class comes out, and again, I commented not long ago about positive characteristics that one has, and she doesn't take away, I don't think, anything from this drive, just from a sheer quality and caliber standpoint, a very high-end female. Ultimately, in my mind, there's 2 that when I shut my eyes, I can't get out of my head. There's one that I kind of side with, and I think she's just naturally thicker from end to end. Still, the next best one, and I commented, is just so picture perfect from the profile. Got to keep her in the reserve honors. Young lady on my left with the heavyweight is going to be your reserve champion.
Okay, our grand champion breeding gilt was shown by Sydney Hansen. The reserve champion breeding gilt was shown by Macy Hansen. Let's give them another round of applause. Good job. Okay, so we're going to move into our showmanship division. Seniors usually first, so seniors showmanship division is next. Seniors, please get your hog ready and down the show ring.
Which disease is this likely to be? An acute disease with fast onset and spreads quickly across all ages of pigs. I'll repeat the question. Which disease is this likely to be? An acute disease with fast onset and spreads quickly across all ages of pigs. Swine flu.
In showing now, we have our senior showmanship division. Showing in this class are Emma Hansen, Ella Johnson, and Kylie Meyer. Sorry, Natalie Johnson.
I'd like to just start off by saying appreciation to the three kids came back for senior showmanship. I understand it's not a requirement, but it's probably one thing that I think can make or break, and a lot of times can separate, first through third is how you get that pig stuck, and to come out here with the opportunity to kind of show your skill, your hard work, because I by no way, shape, or form am unaware of how much time it is spent at home training these pigs to kind of do what they can do. Just a couple of tidbits. I like starting with the seniors so we can, as we kind of get younger, kind of give those younger kids a little bit of a chance to kind of see what we're looking for as I kind of discuss and roll through the showmen that are out here from these older divisions that have a little bit more experience. A couple things that I was always instructed is when I got kind of thrown into the ring was make sure your pig's clean, keep good eye contact, keep the pig in between the two of you. Those are kind of the three foundations, the building blocks. When I come into close inspection, and it's a very tricky thing to kind of work your way, and that's what I thought all three of these maybe disappointed me. To be honest, is you work your way around that hog and don't take a shortcut. I know I understand it's easier. And I was looking for one of you to do it and go around and keep that pig, and we call it a ham sandwich, I guess, when we're working with my kids at home, in terms of keeping that one between the two of us. And so for you younger kids, that was something I was looking for. Honestly, none of these three did, and so they're looking for go. There's probably a pair of them, I think, that it boils down to for your champion and your reserve showing from this particular division. I was a little bit thrilled being that we got to kind of go through and look through the show, and in my mind, I kind of have an idea about who does a good job and doesn't just turn it on now. We're being evaluated on that. Up this pair is one that's just a little bit better and smoother from a transition standpoint. Keeps the hog that they're presenting to me just that same pace. Very, very comfortable. Always has the pig dialed in and has a good look. I thought Champion and Reserve from a skin and hair standpoint are incredibly good. The one that just does a little bit better, young lady in front of me is going to be a champion. Number 219, number 1 is going to go ahead and get his punches our champion extremely close from skin and hair standpoint. Just a little bit more herky-jerky in terms of getting that barrel turned and position. And with that, it gives him a nickel bit, a few worse looks. Young lady is going to go ahead and be third. They probably gave up the most in terms of cleanliness when she came into the ring from the pig standpoint. Skin and hair is not maybe as dark, maybe not as wet. Big thing was just body positioning. Make sure you keep that pig in between the two of us.
Hi, buddy. How are ya?
Okay, in our senior showmanship division, first place goes to Emma Hansen, second place goes to Kylie Meyer. Our showmanship winners will be receiving belt buckles, sponsored by Brianna and Brian Brickman, Sunderman Veterinary Services, Nathan and Marissa Sunderman, and Ann and Dennis Sunderman. Okay, next up is our intermediate showmanship division. Showing in this class are Audrey Case, Macy Hansen, Coleman Brown, and James Waller. And we got one more entry. We got Jaden Meyer coming in.
I guess, continue to be kind of swift in my decision making. There's a trio of them that I think all do an exceptionally good job now that we're operating under the parameters of it being showmanship. And within that trio, there's one that I think serves as quite handily, not only in this particular drive, but throughout the entirety of the day. Skin and hair and presentation, and I think it is very, very good and on point. Again, just to kind of reiterate, just what I wanted to change or kind of hinder the seniors blowing me away is that body positioning is so critical. Yeah, I mean, these things are on a halter, so you got to keep them in between the two of us. So moving forward, I guess it's definitely something that a number of you can work on. There's a couple that are a little bit better from an eye contact standpoint of things. I guess in my mind, I just want to comment that I used to go through and ask questions and kind of, I guess, get to know the kids a little bit better. I had somebody that I probably gravitate away from that more in doing that more so just because I had a person that I respect said, well, if a kid comes in here and can show the lights out of that thing, but they're dumber than a box of rocks, are you going to beat them? I was like, well, no. And he said, so why hinder the operation? Let them do what they've worked all summer and do and kind of let the crowd see what they can do as opposed to kind of cutting the crowd off and just making it about, there's knowledge goals and things of that nature. And with that being said, as we watch these 5 kids, I think you can see what the gap distance is from your champion showman to reserve it on down the line, because not only is this kid in complete control from an eye contact and presentation standpoint, but I can literally stand here and not move and I see every single aspect of this thing coming, going sideways. Kid drives with a plan. Young lady in the center of the ring is doing that. She's your champion. For your reserve champion, going down to a pair of them that kind of cascade here to my left. I think from a cleanliness and hair and skin standpoint, both of these are dialed in. This pair, there's probably one that's a little bit more smoother, and there's one that's a little bit more aggressive and a little bit better from an eye contact standpoint. So there's a little bit give and take. I guess to me, I kind of think about throughout the entirety of the day, again, which one maybe just a shot more natural of it, a little bit more from an engagement standpoint. It kind of leads me to go ahead and side with this one. The young man farthest from is going to be your reserve champion. Young lady is going to be your coach.
Okay, in our intermediate showmanship division, first place goes to Macy Hansen, and second place goes to Parker Brown. Just a reminder to everyone that the pictures will be right after the Swine show, so make sure if you are one of the winners, we'll have pictures afterwards. The Pee Wee class will follow this last class of junior showmanship. In the showing ring now is our junior showmanship division. Showing in this class are Hannah Forsythe, Aubrey Erickson, Graham Case, and Parker Lilydale.
teach you that as we kind of are in a time where we want to get these hawks presented with their heads up, I think we become a little bit too reliant on utilizing that tool and kind of forget that your body language and your body positioning ultimately does most of the work in terms of getting that hog to go forward or turn it. And I think if you take that away from your parents at home trying to help your kids understand what they need to kind of be situated, ultimately, I guess to me, removes no doubt as to who needs to be your champion showman from the standpoint of being able to get that hog presented and really let the skipper beat the young lady with the Berkshire Road going to be your champion showman. I thought they did such a cool, cucumber, comfortable job of getting that one presented. They took the stick away, didn't take away from getting that one presented in the middle of the ring. Hats off to her to not get panic-stricken and nervous. Very, very easy job from my standpoint to go ahead and use her for your champion. The junior champion, I think, is a duo out here that have an understanding and probably maybe did a little bit more work, don't have the tendency to kind of want to be following or chasing. I thought if he's not quite as handsy, to make the decision for your champion and then a bit closer. The young man here closest to him is going to be your reserve champion. We won't knock on him. If you get a little bit too reliant on his hand, go ahead and put that brush in your pocket or don't rest your hand on the foot's back. You don't need it. I know it's a comfort thing. I'm guilty of it too at times, but it's a very, very hard habit to break. Just kind of keep it all tucked in and use the brush. That's what you're sick for. We'll go ahead and put your hands together for the duo. It's going to go ahead and round out the junior class. The young man to my left who ultimately been exhibit 144 would have been fourth. Again, it comes down to control and pace of play and